Hello and welcome to Weekly MTG. How's everybody doing today? I'm Steve Sanu right here with Chris Peeler. Chris, what's up? How's it going?
Hey, going all right. It is certainly preview season. Let me tell you what. Dang.
Boy, is it ever preview season. That's true. It is Weekly MTG. We are here on April 1st, 2021, and I mention that because April 1st is a holiday that is widely recognized as April Fool's Day, a holiday that I personally loathe. I'm loath to even call it a holiday. That is why we will not be playing any April Fool's pranks on this show. Everything that you hear, all the information that you get will be 100% accurate. Everything that you hear today will be true tomorrow. It'll be true. It would have been true yesterday. It is just as true today. So none of the art has been tampered with in any of the cards. None of the card text has been tampered with. Every single preview card that we have today is 100% accurate. So no April Fool's jokes today. If you're staying for the April Fool's jokes, I'm sorry. You should probably just leave the stream now because we're not actually going to be doing any of that today. While I appreciate good fun, an informational stream for our favorite card game in the middle of preview season is really just not the appropriate place to do it. So thank you so much. If you Yeah, go ahead.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
go
To
ahead.
clarify real quick, Steve, there's going to be no intentional deception or jokes going on here. Everything will be accurate to the best of our ability. Steve and I
Right.
are only human. We're going to do our best to keep everybody informed and in the clear. But yeah.
Stibs in chat saying that we're playing a joke. We are not playing a joke on anybody. So we're going to get right into it with the news segment. We got some cool news coming down the line. Some stuff that you probably heard of. Some stuff that you might have not. So here we go. The first thing, congratulations to our Kaldheim champion Arna Huschenbeth, who took down an amazing series with an incredible top 8. Really encourage you to go watch the VOD. Kaldheim Championship, really fun to watch all the way through. Great matches of historic, great matches of standard, and he finished in the finals against Gregor Kowalski with some really amazing plays. So congratulations, Arna. Very excited to have you as our Kaldheim champion, and really looking forward to seeing what you have in the future. Moving on, we have a partner announcement, kind of not announcement, but sort of a educational moment where Magic Legends, the open beta, is going on right now. We've got Magic Legends. If you are interested in that ARPG from Cryptic and Perfect World, you can go ahead and check out the open beta now. I encourage you to head on over to those websites to check it out, see what it's all about, and if you enjoy it, stick with it. Next up, we have the Boom Studios comic book series Magic #1, first issue. Coming down the line, it's coming out on April 7 in comic shops everywhere, and you might have seen the news, you might have not. That first issue is actually sold out at the distributor level, so they are going back to print on that issue, and the second print will be available on April 28th. So please, if you haven't managed to reserve your copy of Magic #1 yet, please do call up your local comic book shop. Let them know that you'd like to reserve it if they have any copies left to reserve. But yeah, that first issue has sold out. So if you're able to get your hands on one, make sure you do. If not, and you still want to read it, it will be available digitally, and it will be available in a second printing if you want a physical copy on April 28th. And that is actually the cover for the second printing right there. Finally, and also, if you want to know more about the Magic #1 Boom Studios comic, do check out our episode where we interviewed Amanda LaFranco, the editor on the book, and Jed McKay, the writer. Next up, we have some really cool images of jewelry from a collaboration we're doing with Rock Love. They've put together some really incredible pieces of jewelry. This is Black Vice. They've also got this great Magic Pip pendant. They've got a ring one as well that I think we're going to show. This is Mana Vault. It actually glows in the dark when you open it up. This is the Signet ring with the 5 pips. And I think there are a couple more. There's Mox Diamond, which I'm sure a lot of people will recognize. Yep. And of course, one of my personal favorites, Sensei's Divining Top. So all of these pieces will be available on rocklove.com, and they will launch on Thursday, April 15th at 9 a.m. Pacific time. And you can sign up for alerts on any of these if you go to rocklove.com. There are certain ones that are limited. The Mox Diamond, the Mana Vault, the Sensei's Divining Top, and the Black Vice necklaces are all limited. So when those sell out, they are gone. But the ones that are not limited are the Pip Medallion necklace and the Pip Signet ring. So if you're interested in any of those iconic pieces, please do head on over to rocklove.com. See what they're all about. The listings are up now. You can take a look at what they're made of and all of that stuff. Really, really fun and really great work from our collaborators over at Rock Love. So thank you so much for that. And with that, we are going to get right over to Strixhaven. Get right over to Strixhaven. This is a crazy, crazy time. We are right in the middle of preview season. Sorry, go ahead, Chris.
Really. Oh no, just really quick, Steve. I'm just hoping that anybody who ends up picking up the Sensei's Divining Top Necklace will use it as an excuse to like buy time and slow down conversation whenever they feel like they need just an extra minute of breather. Just like spin top, one of those sort of things.
I mean, well, from what I understand, you can actually spin the some of the parts of that top. There, it's a little bit functional, which is really cool. I'm very excited about it. Let's go ahead and talk about Strixhaven. Moving on to the main course of today's show. We have a lot of preview cards for you. We're really excited to talk about them. But before we do, what a preview season it's been. I mean, there are so many people that have gotten really into all of the colleges and seen sort of how they're different than some of the more traditional guild pairings that we've seen in the past. We've talked about that on this very show as recently as last week. So, Chris, what so far has been your favorite part of preview season?
Oh man, well, I mean, I always just love seeing new content creators get out there and new faces in the Magic community showing off these preview cards. It's been really great to see, everyone sort of come together and showcase something new and different this preview season, and I'm really happy that we've been able to show off preview cards in places that people maybe wouldn't have expected before. And to that end, that effort is not over. And there's going to be some more streamers around the internet and cool folks that are going to be giving preview content all throughout the rest of this week here. But if we're in terms of cards, I don't know. Is that what you were getting at? Were you talking about cards?
No. I just wanted to know how you've enjoyed preview season, because often we set all this stuff up and we don't get a chance to really enjoy it and revel in it. But this has been a really great preview season for us, and that we've really gotten to enjoy seeing all the content that our incredible creators have been putting out, and very, very happy to be a part of that here on this show as well. Although our content is not going to be nearly as exciting or fun as any of the things that we've seen so far. But with that, let's show off some cards. We're going to start with the very, very expected cards, the things that I'm sure a lot of people know are coming. So we're just going to get those out of the way at first so that we can talk about them a little bit. We're going to show Silver Quill Pledge Mage, which completes a cycle, and Silver Quill Campus, which also completes a cycle. So Silver Quill Pledge Mage is one and a hybrid white-black is a vampire cleric that has 3 power and 1 toughness. Its ability box says Magecraft whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell. Silver Quill Pledge Mage gains your choice of flying or lifelink until end of turn. And Silver Quill Campus is, of course, a land that enters the battlefield taps for either white or black, the Silver Quill colors. And for and tapping it, you get the activated ability of Scry 1.
Yeah. No, this is I mean, the the campus cycle has been really cool to see. I always love in limited games, especially when you're drafting up a deck and it's a relevant choice whether or not you take color fixing compared to like a playable card. I just feel like that adds such a nice extra sort of texture to the draft format. And I have a feeling we're going to see that quite a bit in Strixhaven Limited.
Silver Quill Campus also notable for being a common. I'm sure I've seen a few Pauper players really excited that there's a dual land cycle that breaks the mold a little bit for what you can expect from a comes into play tapped dual land. I mean, pay 4 tap Scry 1 is a pretty powerful ability, not just in limited, but in, I'm sure, some constructed formats as well. So, I'm really excited to see how that ends up getting used by some Pauper brewers, and excited to see it play a role in limited. Silver Quill Pledge Mage, this is a part of a Pledge Mage cycle at common with, Pledge Mages that have hybrid mana costs in the colors of their college. This one has Magecraft, of course, and a 3/1 when you cast a little cantrip or, cast a removal spell with either flying or lifelink, depending on what you need, can be a pretty powerful role player.
Yeah, what I like about this is that I think it sort of gets at what Silver Quill is trying to do in limited here, where uh, setting something up for a defensive play with that lifelink mode is bound to be a really huge tempo swing, and then sometimes just getting in for flying damage is going to be what the deck wants to do. So it's sort of expressing both halves of sort of the like combocus that Silver Quill has, and then that going down all the way to the common level of this cycle is just it's cool to see.
So you can find all of these cards and more as the card image gallery updates on magicthegathering.com. So be sure to keep your eyes peeled for that for anything you might have missed the day after. But we have more cards for you. It's not just those that complete cycles. That wouldn't be very
Mm-hmm.
exciting for us, and it wouldn't be very exciting for you.
Nah,
So let's
gotta
show
do a
off.
little bit more than that.
Yeah, we got to give them a little bit more. So let's show off a card that I think people are also kind of expecting. It isn't another part of a semi cycle. So let's go ahead and put up our next preview card on the screen. And it's actually two cards because it is the rare modal double-faced card for Silver Quill. So the front side is Selfless Glyph Weaver, which costs 2 and a white. It is a human cleric that has 2 power and 3 toughness, and the text box says, exile Selfless Glyph Weaver. Creatures you control gain indestructible until end of turn. On the back side of it, for its modal double-faced backside, is Deadly Vanity. It costs 5 colorless and 3 black. It is a sorcery that reads, choose a creature or planeswalker, then destroy all other creatures and planeswalkers. This is a pretty crazy card. This is pretty insane.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is really sort of getting at the heart of what a lot of the modal double-faced cards in this set are about, right? Where it's providing that flexibility and sort of the relevance at different stages of the game that this card might have. You know, being able to really just potentially just close out the game after casting Deadly Vanity, that sort of like plague wind sort of effect, where it's nominally a symmetrical effect, but you're always going to come out a little bit ahead in most cases. Um, and then Glyph Weaver here being able to just set up a big roadblock and make your opponent's combat math really really difficult. It's a great one, and also slots nicely into my Alesha deck, so I'm looking forward to that. Oh, also just need to point out here that I have to imagine that was an intentional uh, sort of naming joke we have between Selfless Glyph Weaver and Selfless Spirit that also has that ability to sort of give creatures indestructible at the cost of sacrificing itself.
It does, and I'll also say that it's easy to gloss over some of the stuff in the text box. We're Magic players; we see these effects a lot. We kind of have a general idea of how it is that they work. Selfless Glyph Weaver notably says exile Selfless Glyph Weaver, not sacrifice. So
Yes.
you do get that effect, but you only really get it once. There aren't a whole lot of ways to get cards back from exile, at least in standard. There are of course other formats where if you want to try to abuse this, please do. Vanity is not targeted. Also, that's another thing that chat is noting. So Deadly Vanity is not targeted. It says choose a creature or planeswalker, then destroy all others. So yeah, it's a pretty crazy modal double-faced card. I mean, I think since we started seeing these back in Zendikar Rising, we've seen a lot of different effects and a lot of different ways to implement it. And honestly, the raw value that you get from all of this is just really, really great. I'm a big fan of modal double-faced cards. It's really cool to see how they are continuing to evolve and stuff like that. So Selfless Glyph Weaver, Deadly Vanity. This is, of course, a rare card in the set, and you'll be able to get this in. You'll be able to see it in Limited, and this may even be a role player in Standard. Humans are definitely a relevant tribe in Modern as well. So, lots to think about here. Lots to think about.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and move on to another card that surprisingly or unsurprisingly completes a cycle. That is what we're doing here. We're sort of completing or not completing because there's still a lot of cards to come, but doing the versions of the cycle for a particular school. I don't know if you figured out what it is, but let's go ahead and take a look at the uncommon legendary student. Let's put them up on the screen. This is Killian Ink Duelist, which costs a white and a black. It's a legendary creature, human warlock, has lifelink and menace. With the spell text, with the rules text, spells you cast that target a creature cost 2 generic mana less to cast. It's got 2 power and 2 toughness. This is an uncommon legendary creature, and we can put it into context for you. This is a part of a cycle that has that we can show it amongst the other cards that have been revealed so far. Quintorius, Rutha, Zimone, and the one that's missing is of course the Witherbloom legendary student. So that's a pretty spicy effect. I mean, all of these uncommon legendary students have some pretty unique effects that you don't necessarily see other places.
Yeah, no, the uncommon cycle here is super cool because it this sort of continues a tradition that we've seen in a couple of different recent sets where you have these legendary creatures that both fulfill a need for the limited archetype while also being sort of a potential commander that you want to build around and build a complete deck around. So really putting in work and serving both purposes there. I think what I like the most about Killian is I just feel like the the flavor of being a duelist is like uh, so eloquently captured here by just having the cost reduction feature on spells, right? You know, like you're going to be pumping Killian with combat tricks, you're going to be targeting your opponent's creatures with removal spells, all these things that feel very like tit for tat, kind of duelist like. And I think doing that in the form of a cost reduction effect is just it's a very simple and very clean way of doing that, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, it is a really, really cool card, a really cool implementation of that. And on top of that, it's a warlock. We could always use more warlocks in as creature types, right?
Mm-hmm.
Really, really excellent implementation of that sort of uncommon legendary creature thing that started with I guess it was Dominaria, where we really, really started pushing
Yeah, that was really
uncommon
the first time
legendary
then.
creatures. So yes, it does die to Bone Crusher Giant. There are very few things that don't die to Bone Crusher Giant these days, including
That
players.
gosh dang giant. Yeah.
Yeah. So that yes, you will be able to find all of these cards later on in the card image gallery tomorrow for Strixhaven. We will also show them at the end of the show so that you can take another look at them just in case you came late and you missed them. Let's move on to the
Uh,
next card. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Chris. What's going on?
oh yeah, just real quick. I've seen a couple of different questions about the Witherbloom Elder Dragon. That is another
Hmm.
sort of card in a cycle that has yet to be revealed. Tomorrow is Witherbloom preview day, so expect to see those cards revealed at some point tomorrow. Can't say exactly when, uh, but yeah, you'll figure it out then.
Excellent. Let's go ahead and show another card. I think we should show another card. Let's do it. Uh, let's just put it up on the screen, Sean. This is Movinda Student's Advocate. This is a mythic rare that costs 2 generic mana and 1 white mana. It's a legendary creature, Bird Advisor, with 2 power and 3 toughness. It has flying, and for an activated ability for 0 generic mana, you may cast a target or instant sorcery card from your graveyard this turn. If that spell doesn't target a creature you control, it costs 8 more to cast this way. If that spell would be put into your graveyard, exile it instead. Activate only once each turn. You still pay the spell's cost. Timing rules for the spell still apply. First of all, let's talk about how amazing this art is and the fact that this is a bird advisor. Like, I have to imagine this is some kind of Strixhaven guidance counselor. I love this.
Yeah, no, that's I don't know, just the sort of interpretation of like even humanoids in this set being owl people is just I love it so much. And look at this guy. Like this is someone who is just such a nice, comforting, warm owl friend. I don't know. I just it's a great vibe that the whole card is putting out. And yeah, such a unique effect here, right? Like again, sort of a little bit talking about what we were saying with Killian, sort of these cards that incentivize you to really play and recycle combat tricks and doing little things that'll uh, uh, you know make those small minute moments of moment to moment combat that much more interesting. I think it's just super cool. And yeah, I mean if you happen to have that much mana lying around and you just want to go to town with all of your other spells, that's an option.
For sure. And, this is something that I don't think we've seen White do all that often, which is getting to recur spells directly from the graveyard. Granted, there is a pretty massive tax on that if it doesn't actually target a creature you control. But this is a pretty unique effect generally. This is something that I'm happy to in limited, for example, I'm happy to play a 2/3 flyer for 3. Like this is something that I'd happily
Mhm.
put into any limited deck without the other text. But all the other
Right.
text is basically upside, I feel like. So this is really great. Really love
Hmm.
the flavor. Really happy to see a bird advisor make it into a standard set. Very, very very excited about this card. Hopefully some people and some Commander players are going to find something cool to do with it. It is certainly a way to cast ultimatums for 15 mana. That's true. Let's
Living
go
the dream.
ahead and so those are the Silver Quill cards that we have today. It's quite a few of them, quite a few to get through. We'll cycle back through them towards the end of the show. We do have another card to show you. We're not going to do it just yet. Also going to let y'all know that if you have questions about Strixhaven, about previews, if we can answer them, we would love to try. So if you have questions, please do put them into chat. Happy to answer them if we can.
Yep.
Alrighty, so let's go to a card that I've seen a lot of people in chat asking for. And this is a card that's been conspicuously missing since we did the debut date, right, Chris? We revealed a lot of Planeswalkers, a lot of them, and we didn't reveal one of them. And we're gonna maybe give you a little look at that card today, potentially right now, but you're gonna have to wait just a second because we got to show something else first. Let's go ahead and put the card up onto the screen. It's Mila, Crafty Companion. This is a modal double-faced card. Mielecrafty Companion costs 1 generic and 2 white mana. It is a legendary creature fox. Whenever an opponent attacks one or more planeswalkers you control, put a loyalty counter on each planeswalker you control. Whenever a permanent you control becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, you may draw a card. This is a 2/3. A 2 power, 3 toughness creature, and once again is a front side of the modal double-faced card. And if you see in the bottom left-hand corner, it does say Luca down there. So this is not the first time there has been a creature front planeswalker back. Of course, Valky Tybalt in Kaldheim. But Mila, Crafty Companion, that certainly implies some things for the story and what Luca is going to be doing on Arcavios and at Strixhaven.
Yeah. Be sure we have new Magic Story episodes going up every Wednesday. I think the first 2 have been released, and there's 3 more to come, alongside the Strixhaven side stories that go up on Fridays. So yeah, hopefully we will get a look at what Luca is up to, and maybe we'll meet Mila too. That would be nice.
So before we even look at Luca, this card's insane, right? Like, this card's great, right? Like, it's just really, really good. It taxes
sort of
your
classic...
opponent's... Yeah, go ahead, please.
Oh no, just a sort of a classic rattlesnake effect, right? Where, it disincentivizes attacking, lets you, sort of recoup some of your losses if your opponents do go in on some of your planeswalkers. And then, I really love more of these sort of white rule-setting card draw effects that we've been seeing lately. This and Mangara the Diplomat in the previous core set, like being able to accrue value while your opponents are, messing with your stuff feels very white, and I'm happy to see that kind of effect here once again.
Well, and if Mila does actually hit the battlefield, which in depending on what format you're playing is a hefty statement. Whenever a permanent you control becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, you may draw a card. If Mila gets removed, you're getting the card back. This is pretty good for a. This is an extremely good Fox friend, and you can see the incredible regular art from Kieran Yanner on the left hand side, and the borderless art from Youngjae Choi on the other side on the right.
Yeah,
so
fantastic pieces.
Yeah, really, really great pieces. This is, of course, a red-white color pair, but because it is a modal double-faced card, you can play it in a white deck, you can play it in a red deck. But for commander purposes, this does have the color identity of both red and white. Speaking of red, let's go ahead and take a look at the new Luca Planeswalker, which is the back face of this modal double-faced card. This is Luca Wayward Bonder, costs 4 colorless and 2 red. It's a legendary Luca Planeswalker, starts out with 5 loyalty. +1, you may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. If a creature card was discarded this way, draw 2 cards instead. -2, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. It gains haste. Exile it at the beginning of your next upkeep. -7, you gain an emblem with whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, it deals damage equal to its power to any target. There's a lot to unpack here, Chris. You want to kick us off?
Yeah, no, I mean, I love that just sort of generally speaking, this is like a collection of a lot of different red effects that like don't tend to get the spotlight, but I love all of them, right? You know, this sort of like uh unearth effect that we've started seeing a little bit more in red cards. You know, putting getting that as a minus ability on a planeswalker is cool. I am a huge fan of Warstorm Surge, so seeing the ultimate here that basically gives you an emblem form of that, just like that will it will not take a whole lot of work to end a game if you're able to get that card out there, and then just being able to continue to filter and fill up your graveyard. It's sort of cool how we have red and white in particular just has so many different graveyard synergies in Strixhaven, and a big focus on that is sort of its limited game plan. So having the Planeswalker, having Luca sort of slipstream right into that as sort of your premier mythic for the color pair, I think is a really cool way to tie the whole package together.
Well, I think it's really interesting that this is on, if you look at this in a vacuum, you think, wow, 6 mana, maybe I expect to get a little bit more. Maybe I expect it to do a little bit more. But the important thing to remember is this is the backside of a modal double-faced card. At
Right.
baseline, if you are playing white, you also get to cast Mila. So the fact that it has a front side is a huge advantage to something like this. I think there are certainly schools of thought where if you look at a 6 mana planeswalker, you do expect it to do quite a bit more. But there are some subtleties here that I think are worth calling out. First of all, like you mentioned, yes, you can absolutely discard a card, get some card advantage back if you discard, say, a mana generating creature or an excess legendary creature or something that you actually want in the graveyard. Drawing those cards is great, but the -2 says return target creature from your graveyard to the battlefield. It gains haste. Exile it at the beginning of your next upkeep, not the next end step. So that does defend Luca against, if you can
That's
choose
true.
not to attack. That's possible. You can have a
Yeah,
really great blocker. There's some pretty great flicker effects that were in Kaldheim that could allow you to keep the creature around. So, I think that this is something that people should keep an eye on. That
yeah.
creature
No,
stays until the next turn. Yeah.
I hadn't even considered that until the next upkeep. That's just a slight tweak on something that we're already familiar with that should provide some fun new wrinkles to that sort of effect.
Yeah. So this is a card that I'm really excited to sleeve up or virtually sleeve up in Magic the Gathering Arena and go a couple rounds with. I think obviously in limited, this is going to be an absolute all-star of a card. Really, really, really amazing. Mostly because again, you can always just cast Mila, right? You can always just cast Mila. You don't have to wait until 6 to cast Luca. I really, really love cards like this that are super flexible, really, really powerful in the right hands and in the right situation, but has a really, really high floor, right? So certainly this is no Valky Tybalt, right? Like we know it's not a Valky Tybalt, but I think given the set and looking at the limited format that's come up so far, I'm really excited to play this card. I think this is going to be a lot of fun, and I think Commander players are also going to find a lot to do with this particular modal double-faced card. Is the hope, and because it is as a creature side, it can be some people's commander as well.
Yeah, exactly. I know I have a difficult time personally sort of evaluating that cards that are this flexible that have this disparate of like mana costs that you can play on the curve. Always tough to evaluate, right? But like that flexibility is also one of the biggest strengths of the card. You know, having it be relevant at two different points of the game, uh, just it's never going to be a dead card, which is something that it's always difficult to evaluate. Maybe it's not going to be the thing that like immediately closes out a game in the way that you know your Terror of the Peaks might. Uh,
Right.
but yeah, but being able to have that flexibility, I think, is super relevant.
So I want to clarify a couple of things. We've seen many modal double-faced cards, and by many I mean we've seen two. We've seen two double-faced cards today. Modal double-faced cards occur at uncommon and I think it's rare and higher. Is that right? Rare and higher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In this
So
set.
modal double-faced cards are rare or mythic rare. You won't see them at common, and you won't see them uncommon. It's similar to how they were handled in Kaldheim, where you only saw them as rares or mythic rares. So that is the last preview card we have for today's stream. No Fullen, that is the last preview card. So we're happy to answer some questions. If you have them, please do put them in chat. There's a lot, I've seen a lot of things about maybe some technical issues with Magic the Gathering Arena. We can't do anything about that. We're currently streaming. However, if you are experiencing issues, please do tweet at the Magic the Gathering Arena Twitter account on social. They'll be able to get to your issue much quicker than we will. So, thank you for bringing it up. Obviously, we're happy to take that back when we can, but we are currently streaming. We can't really do anything to circulate that up just now. We will see the preview cards again. That's a good question. We will make sure to show those very soon. Let's see here.
Saw at least one question about how old the Elder Dragons on this plane are. I think we have more information about that in the Planeswalker's Guide to Strixhaven article that just went up this morning. But if I remember right from Doug on stream last week, I think he said that they're like several hundred years old. Like they've been around for like 700 years since the war sort of ravaged Arcavios prior to the founding of Strixhaven. So not the most ancient, I guess, by Elder Dragon standards, but they're probably collecting retirement. If they weren't.
I do also want to shout out that our very own Blake Rasmussen is in the chat. Say hi to Blake. It's always good to see him. You will see his face again. I promise it will happen. Somebody asked, is there any particular reason we didn't get any Aura cards on the Mystical Archives? Yes. So the Mystical Archives only have instants and sorceries. They have no other card types. It's just instants and sorceries. So that is the reason there are no auras, creatures, other enchantments, artifacts. It's only instants and sorceries. No lands. So only instants and sorceries. When will the full card image gallery be up? I believe on the 7th. I think that's right.
So the full card image gallery for the main set is going to be live actually over the weekend on the 3rd.
Okay.
The last of the main set cards are going to be revealed tomorrow, and then Saturday is going to be when all of those get sort of added to the card image gallery. Next week is the start of Commander season previews. So we have different outlets, one every day each week, that are going to showcase a complete deck. So that should be super cool, and hope you look forward to seeing those.
Have all the guidepost uncommons been shown? I assume that you mean guideposts for limited. For those that don't know that term, it's usually there are uncommons that show you sort of a direction to go for limited and what the deck is that color pair is all about. No, because Witherbloom, most of those cards are getting shown tomorrow, and you'll be able to see some signpost uncommons for that there.
That all being said, Strixhaven is a little bit different in that it's a little bit heavier on multicolored cards than usual. So where some limited formats might only have like one multicolor uncommon card for the different 2-color pairs, Strixhaven instead has several different cards of both common, uncommon, and rare that are all sort of playing around in that sort of signpost space. So it's maybe a little bit closer to something like Guilds of Ravnica or Ravnica Allegiance in that regard, where you're going to see certain multicolor cards that you're going to want to gravitate towards, but not quite the same like, oh, hey, this red-black ogre is getting passed to me 6th. Guess I better be the red-black deck. It's going to function a little bit differently in Strixhaven.
There is a question about the legality of Mystical Archive cards in Historic and Historic Brawl. So here, I'm going to tell you what I know. Here are the things that I know. There are going to be some cards that are banned on day 1 from the Mystical Archive in Historic. A list of that can be found on the Magic the Gathering website and dailymtg.com. I don't actually know what their plans are for Historic Brawl. I'll tell you that 100% honestly. I do not know what their plans are. I would suspect that Historic Brawl goes with the same ban list as Historic, but they may make an exception here. I don't actually know. So the best way to get your answer to that is to once again ask your question to Magic the Gathering Arena on Twitter, and hopefully they'll be able to come up with an answer for you. But unfortunately, I don't have an answer for you right now. Sorry about that. Let's see. Lorehold has 2 extra commander options compared to the other schools. Why the extra love for red-white? Do they have more options? I think they do.
I think between Mila and a few other things that we've shown, there's technically more cards with the red-white color identity.
That are legendary that can be your commander. Yeah. That's right,
Right.
because
Yeah, and I
Kasmina
think
is a planeswalker that slots into the mythic rare, whereas yeah, okay, yeah.
right. Yeah, I think it's
I
just
don't
it's
actually know the
one of
reason
those
for that. It's a
circumstances.
good question.
Yeah, could just be sort of a side effect of the way that we have different multicolor mythics and sort of a slightly different color breakdown between all the different mythic rares in the set. And some things need to be legendary creatures, some things don't need to be. So it's gives a little bit of extra texture, and it's not quite symmetrical all the way around.
Let's see here. Is there going to be something similar to Mystical Archive in the future, like for enchantments, artifacts, etc.? I don't actually know. That's a cool idea. I'd like to see that, but we are
Yeah.
not in charge of any of those things. But if it's something you want to see, let us know. Let us know on social outlets. We'll report up, and certainly with the comments that we get on this show, we always let people know what our audience is thinking and what it is that they're talking about. So if that's something that you want to see, let us know seriously, and that's a good way to do
Mhm.
it.
Got a question here about when Strixhaven is coming to Arena, and that should be the 15th. That'll be sort of at a similar timing that we've seen for other set releases, where the full product is going to be released on the 23rd. Pre-release weekends, where pre-releases are available, are the weekend of the 16th, 17th, and 18th, and then yeah, you can start firing up limited events in Arena starting on the 15th.
There's a question about mascot exhibition, actually, a card that was revealed today, and we can put it
Oh,
up on
hey.
the screen for those of you that haven't seen it. Mascot exhibition. Let's go ahead and put it up there. When producer Sean is able to, we put him on the spot a lot for this
Yeah,
stuff, so
yeah,
it will come up.
we've been
The,
telling
the
it.
question is why are fractals and pests missing from the 7-mana mascot exhibition lesson? So this is a lesson. This is something that you can get from Learn. It is 7 colorless mana. It reads: create a 2/1 white and black inkling creature token with flying, a 3/2 red and white spirit creature token, and a 4/4 blue and red elemental creature token. I don't actually know the answer from that. That's a great question. Chris, do you have any idea why the fractals and the pests would be missing from that particular
Uh, you
thing?
know, I'm not positive. I have to imagine it was just a matter of play balance and sort of creating the right mix of large evasive creatures and small creatures. Um, and also, they probably really wanted to feature this card as a lesson, and that sort of adds an extra wrinkle to things. Um, being that it's a card that can be effectively tutored up in some situations. So, yeah, I have to imagine it's a play design sort of consideration, or could even be related to the text box on the card. But yeah, no, you can exhibit some of the mascots, but not all of the mascots, I guess.
Let's see here. What else? Can we put up the modal double face card, Deadly Vanity and Selfless Glyph Weaver, Sean? One more
Mhm.
time. So there, I've seen this question a couple of times in chat. It's essentially if you don't have any creatures, do you still have to choose a creature or planeswalker that is on the battlefield? And the answer is yes. So when you cast Deadly Vanity, you must choose a creature or planeswalker. Uh, it doesn't say that you control, and it's not a May ability. So yes, by the text of the card, you do have to choose a creature or planeswalker that's on the battlefield. You can choose one you control, but if you don't control one, you have to choose one of them. So that
Yeah,
is
so in theory, it could be your opponent's creature that is the most vain creature on the battlefield that needs to be, you know, the single shining star on the battlefield, not just one of your own.
Looks like there are some very well intentioned questions about the bannings for historic with the Mystical Archive, and we are not game designers. We don't have any say in what is or is not banned. We're not necessarily akin to those processes either. But what I can tell you is that the ability of Magic the Gathering Arena to be able to replicate the limited format that you know and love, the one that you play in tabletop, is one of the big priorities for the team. It is something that is very important to not just the internal team, but the people at large as well, people that really want to play limited. And so the cards for Mystical Archive are a big part of that limited format. Uh, Arena also has a format called Historic that has a lot of different cards in it that is constantly getting new cards added through, digital first sets or digital only sets like Amonkhet Remastered and Kaladesh Remastered, and as well as historic anthologies. So I know that the teams across the tabletop design studio and the arena studio do a lot of work trying to balance that format. And when you put a lot of cards, like the powerful ones that you're going to see in Mystical Archive, into a format like that, there are going to be some balance considerations that need to get made. So I don't want to speak for the design team. Obviously, I'm not on that design team. I don't work on Magic the Gathering Arena. Chris doesn't either. We're just here to talk to you guys. But I can tell you that they're constantly looking at that format and seeing what works and what doesn't. So there may very well be a point in the future where some of those cards that were banned from day one are deemed to be fine for historic. I don't actually know if that'll be the case, but it's certainly possible. The thing here is trying to maintain that balance between offering the as authentic a Magic experience as possible with limited, while also acknowledging that there is a format there that may have some balance issues with some of those cards coming in. So that's a really long-winded way of saying that limited is important, and it's important to a lot of Magic players, myself included. And I would, as a player, I would really like to make sure that I get that authentic limited experience, even if, unfortunately, it is at the expense of some of these cards getting banned day one in an internal format. Any news on Pioneer Masters? No news on Pioneer Masters, at least not this week. Nobody's told me anything.
We're very close to the end of preview season, and I've seen the question come up a couple of times here, and I think it's fair for me just to say it. I don't need to give a whole lot of extra context. There's no Jin Gataxius. Just
okay.
That's it. Yeah. Yep. You know what? I'll just say it. Fine. I'll break the news. There is none. Next question.
Somebody asking about the Japanese alt art versions of the Mystical Archive cards. They are extremely gorgeous, and they're asking if there's going to be a printing of the Japanese art with English text. There is no plans for that at this time. There are no plans for that at this time. The only time you can get those are printed in the Japanese language. So sorry about that, but that's sort of the way it is right now. Let's see here. Lots of questions, lots of comments. Thanks so much for being here, everybody. We appreciate you celebrating this with us.
I like the follow-up question that I got about asking about Gene Gitaxios, which I'm gonna throw it out there. Not.
No. Let's see. I'm trying to. A lot of the questions I'm having to skip because I actually can't answer them. I don't have the information, or we're not ready to answer them yet. So know that your questions are getting read. Unfortunately, I just can't answer them. So it's not really worth it for for me to call them out. Let's see here. Questions about the Blake answered a question in chat about the where to find article. Blake is out. He is the one that normally does that. The team is working as hard as we can to make sure it continues to get updated. So thank you for your patience with us. We really do appreciate it. Let's see. And if you're talking about the card image gallery, we don't update the card image gallery until 24 hours, essentially, until the day after all the things have been previewed, because we don't want to scoop anybody that has a preview.
One of the nice things we like to do is make sure that people who receive preview cards have a little bit of time in the sun where they can be the first place to show those cards off. So we like to give a little bit of time to make sure that those preview outlets get all the love they deserve.
Fun questions about Phyrexian Praetors. There are no Phyrexian Praetors in this set. I can say that with a very high level of confidence. Let's see here.
We got the question about what when our MDFC is going to show up in a set. Steve, you and I.
Someday, like, maybe.
Yeah, I think I would be like the dean of coffee breaks, maybe.
Is that something that you want to see? Tell at Wizards_Magic that you want to see a modal double-faced Steve Sunu Chris Peeler card.
Yeah. Some sort of copy break card that gives other creatures haste. No, but that being said, we don't tend to do cards that depict employees or anything like that.
It's very true.
Not really what we're in the game of doing these days.
How would you rate the complexity level of this set compared to Kaldheim and Zendikar Rising? It's a good question. I'm going to think about it for a second and pivot to Chris and make him answer.
Looking at the set, it feels like you know the I know that that was something that we heard a lot during Call Time preview season was that there's just a lot of text on a lot of these cards, and there's lots of individual knobs that sort of impact the power level of all these different cards and effects. I feel like that is somewhat true of Strixhaven, though maybe slightly less so. I feel like the complexity just comes in the fact that there's so many cards that are going to be relevant at different points in the game, right? Like uh, Sean, if you have the time to put up Rip Apart, it was one of the cards that I called out before we started. Like, just because there's such a strong focus on instants and sorceries in this set, and you want to make sure that you have different effects at different costs that are relevant at more than one point in the game. I feel like there's some additional complexity that just happens because like these cards are super flexible. So like the choices are always going to be live. So even if the effects themselves are slightly more simple, like the gameplay function of them is going to be more complicated, which for me is super exciting. I love always having relevant decision points at different times of the game, especially for something like limited. So uh, yeah, I'm a huge fan of Rip Apart and other cards of its ilk that are in the set.
I haven't actually played this set yet. I haven't really had a chance to dive into the limited format, so I don't actually know how complicated it's going to be. From my just looking at the preview cards and seeing what's come out so far, certainly it is going to be a format similar to a lot of the guild formats that we've seen, right? Some of the two color pair
Mhm.
formats that we've seen, where you can play one color pair and potentially splash a second, and that's a thing that's going to be really fun. But uh, I don't know how much more complicated it's going to be than something like a Guilds of Ravnica, right? I don't know how much more complicated it's going to be than,
Yeah.
say, a original Ravnica, which by today's standards is very complicated. So I don't know yet, and I'm excited to find out. Matt Tabak in the chat. Hello, Matt Tabak. If we really want a vanity card, you know a guy. Is that guy you? Are you the
Mm,
guy that you know? Uh,
I don't know.
Question about any of those special Japanese alternate art treatments in Magic the Gathering Arena. Yes, they will be available as card styles. Let's keep
Let's see.
looking
Would
for
Niv Mizzet win
questions.
against a Strixhaven Elder Dragon in a one-on-one fight? Now, I am one of the biggest fans of hypothetical who would win in a fight scenario questions, and this is not canon at all. I am not on the creative team. I do not have ultimate power over how these characters function. But with no context and no explanation, I would say Reborn Niv Mizzet wins. Pre-reborn Niv Mizzet, original Niv Mizzet, no way. And I'm not going to provide any explanation. You just interpret that as you will.
Question about brawl support for learn and lesson cards. So this is a question that we've gotten a lot in terms of Commander. So the way that the rules work, in order for you to get a card from outside the game, you need to have a sideboard. And neither Brawl nor Commander support sideboard. So when you play a card that has Learn, you will not be able to go get a lesson. You will, however, be able to do the alternative action, which is to discard a card and draw a card. But you will not be able to go fetch lessons from outside the game in either Brawl or Commander. For Commander, if you were playing over Spell Table or you are lucky enough to be amongst a pod that has been fully vaccinated and play together, you can essentially do whatever you want if you agree with your play group. But in terms of the way that the rules are written and the way that the rules work, that is not a thing that you're going to be able to do. Let's keep looking. Let's see. Matt does know
What do I
himself.
prefer
That's
to
good.
peel the most? What do I prefer to peel the most? Nothing interesting, honestly. Trying to think here.
Okay, it looks
Carrots,
like we
very
are. It
pleasing
looks like we're
here.
coming to the end of questions. So, while I'll wait for a few more questions to come in, but let's go ahead and cycle through the previews that we did today, so that anybody that came late can see them. Silver Quill Pledge Mage and Silver Quill Campus, two parts of a cycle. Let's go on to the next one, which we showed a little bit earlier. That's Selfless Glyph Weaver and Deadly Vanity. And then let's go to the next one. Killian Ink Duelist, the next in the cycle of the legendary uncommon creatures, so those students. And then we get on to the rares, mythic rare, which is Movinda Student's Advocate. And finally, we have the modal double-faced card for Mila, Crafty Companion, and Luca, Wayward Bonder. Somebody asked what our college is and why. Chris, what's your college?
Oh man, okay, so I've talked about it before. I mean, by trade and by vocation, I'm more of a more of a Silver Quill person. However, I just Witherbloom speaks to me, and I love the bog. I even love the detention bog. Uh, and those critters are just so gross and cute, and I want to hang out with them. Also, I feel like I've always had a strong affinity for like being kind of the dweeby person among people that are way cooler than me, and that's just kind of the vibe that I'm picking up from Witherbloom generally. So I'll say Witherbloom in my heart, even if it is Silver Quill by trade.
Personality wise, I am most assuredly Prismari. However, gameplay wise, I get the feeling I'm probably going to be more Quandrix. But if I had to choose
Yeah,
my field of study, it was
yeah,
100% 100% Prismari. So uh, it looks like we've gotten to the end of questions we can actually answer. As a sort of like housekeeping thing right here. We've got next week will be an unboxing stream for the Commander products. So you'll get to see some of the cool
yeah.
new eco-friendly packaging that we're doing for that, and that's going to be really cool. Next week is also going to be the start and end, I believe, of Commander previews. So you're going to get a lot of Commander previews next week
Yep.
as well. There are no more previews today. Thank you for asking the question. No more previews. However, the other thing that I want to make sure everybody is aware of that will happen moving forward is this is actually my last show as host. And I said no April Fool's jokes up front, and I meant it. This is my last show as host. So uh,
Mhm.
Chris Peeler, you're going to be in really capable hands with Chris. He's going to take over hosting duties for me until Blake gets back. Blake asked the question earlier if I would host this show with him forever, and he knew the answer was going to be no. So there
That
is that.
jerk. Why would he
Um,
say that?
I've really enjoyed hosting this show. It's been a really great time since we started it, probably I think like 3 years ago. I've really enjoyed my time here. I've really enjoyed hosting, and I hope that you've enjoyed it too. So hopefully everybody is going to. I'm gonna raise my mug with Blake's face on it, so he's here in spirit. Uh, but know that I've appreciated all of your questions, and I've really enjoyed being on, getting to make jokes and puns. It is slightly ironic that my last show is on April 1st. I'm very well. Chris is better. Chris is better. I agree. I agree with you. You're in really great hands with Chris Peeler.
No,
And so he and
no,
actually
no.
Adam Staborski are going to be hosting next week for opening that Sweet Sweet Commander product. And so you'll get to see that. And everything is going to be excellent for Strixhaven. I'm so excited for you to experience this set. I'm so excited for you to continue watching this show. Thank you, everybody who watched and laughed at all of my dumb jokes. I appreciate it. And Chris, good luck to you, man. I think you're going to do really great here, and I'm very excited to see the show from the chat. Actually, get to just be in chat and watch the show. So
Yeah, I mean, your presence is going to be missed here, Steve. You've been a fantastic host, and it's great just to have, I don't know, just have a little Steve Sunu, like a little security blanket once a week, just to chill out and warm up and hang out and talk about magic stuff. It's been a lot of fun, and it's not going to be the same show without you. So thank you so much for being here for us.
well, hopefully it'll be a great new show. People are really excited. Oh my gosh, Blake said it. Thank you, Blake. Uh, really, really thank you to everybody who's watched the show. I've had the time of my life hosting and co-hosting this show with Blake and with Chris and with so many of the other people on the community team. I will definitely see all of you later, I'm sure. But for now, thank you so much for joining us today for our Strixhaven preview show. Very exciting. And next week, please come back and see how awesome the Commander decks are when they unbox them. They are really, really excellent, and I can't wait for people to see them. And make sure that you send in really great questions for Chris and Adam Staborski. Be nice to them. Be nice to each other. Be good to each other. And we're gonna sign off here with the lovely new ad for Magic the Gathering Arena Mobile, starring some really familiar faces. Thank you all so much. Have a lovely April 1st, and may it be not full of practical jokes. Bye.
Have a good one, folks.
Sean, just slow down. You gotta let the game come to you.
No, you got attack, man. You got him on the ropes. Right now. You got it.
Thank
What?
you.
What?
Thanks. Thanks, guys.
It's almost like Zen. Relax.
You gotta channel your anger. You burn it into rage and violence.
Dude, Danny, where did you come from?
Boring, Clark. That's what you should add to your deck for the late game.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Just save cards for the late game. None of this would be happening if you would just use a Torbran red aggro deck.
Guys, seriously, stop eating my cereal.
Oh, wait, that's you?
Boring clicks.
I would like to proudly present.
Oh, drum roll.
Drum roll, come on. Yeah. I give you the chore wheel. Oh, come on.
I need that.
Look at that. See, this way we can keep track of things that are going on in the house. Okay, let's see what's gonna be. Who's it gonna be? Who's it gonna be? Sean, wash the dishes. Yeah, but Tuesday.
But I'm the only name on here.
I mean,
The chore wheel has spoken. Whoa.
Okay.
Hey, I found these under my bed. Might want to let them soak.
Okay.
hey, Sean. Turn 2, old growth troll. Turn 5, victory.
Nice.
That's what happens when you play aggressive, man. Oh, dude, let these soak. Let's go play a game.
That's a great idea. I'm gonna let these soak.
No.
With Magic the Gathering Arena on mobile, you can play Arena wherever you go. Whether it's at home or if you're heading out for some peace and quiet, Arena's the perfect game to keep in your pocket and play anywhere.
Become the game. The goblin will not hurt you.
It's hurting my feelings.